I'm going to talk about The Garden Left Behind. This stars Carly Guevara as Tina, a young trans woman who is living as an undocumented migrant in New York City with her grandmother. Miriam Cruz plays Elena, also an undocumented migrant. Initially, the title, I would say, comes from Elena talking about how much she misses her home country and the garden she left behind in Mexico, although there are more poetic meanings as well. Tina is starting to transition. She looks amazing anyway. She first has to see a psychiatrist being assessed at the start of the gateway transition before getting access to any other medicine. Tina needs to be assessed to see if she's suitable for the transition process. So he asks her a lot of questions. Dr. Cleary is played by Edward Asner. Tina has a boyfriend, Chris, played by Anthony Abdo. To start with, it seems like they get along, but as the process develops, it might not be quite right for her. She has a group of New York City friends, other trans women campaigners. They meet up and they're very supportive of each other. From what I gather from the film, what I've read about the casting is all the trans characters were played by trans actors, so it is authentic in that respect. And also the Latinx characters are played by Latinx actors. That's how it should be. There have been a few films in the past, such as Trans America, where a cis woman plays a trans woman character. Another example is Eddie Redmayne, Lily in Danish Girl. However, in recent years, there has been a more realistic representation of the people featured in the story. The story involves Tina, her struggle as she works through the transition process. She sees a voice therapist and other healthcare professionals as well. It's a little bit of a roller coaster. Some things work out well, some things don't. One of the things that isn't good is the climate in New York. In the story, there's an example of a police officer beating up a trans woman, and so there are protests. There's elements of tragedy in this film. One of the central themes is that Black and Latinx, people of Latin American heritage, face a lot of discrimination and fight to be accepted by society as a whole. I thought it was very moving at times. There is tragedy, there is threat, there's a group of young men who are very much anti-trans in their behaviour. At the start of the film, Tina is a taxi driver and she has to deal with all of the trouble that taxi drivers everywhere, Uber drivers, face. People not paying their fares, not having the money, being sick in their vehicle. Can't be an easy job. Tina finds another job and sells her car. Right at the start, there's a scene which is from after that stage where she's walking down the street looking dejected and there's an air of threat, and we get to that later on. Early on, there's ambiguities about certain characters. You don't know if they're going to be supportive or unsupportive. I'll avoid the spoilers, but I'll say that there's one shop assistant. He looks critical, he looks possibly fearful. It's very hard to tell. He doesn't look exactly friendly, but sometimes that is because what's going on in his head. Is he attracted to Tina? Has he got similar thoughts? He then faces peer pressure. There's that whole situation that a character like his being pulled one way or the other, he might be worried about his sexuality and then through peer pressure acting in a particular way. I really like the emotional angles. There's so much to talk about when it comes to LGBT asterisk matters as a whole, and this is one very topical subject at the moment. There are many countries where self-ID has been accepted in the law, around 20 countries, a lot of Latin America and quite a few European countries, Spain, Finland, there's a whole list, Pakistan. There's a lot of controversy in countries like the UK which doesn't seem to be going down the same route when it comes to trans matters. There's strong arguments that if the country actually moves towards less acceptance of trans and non-binary people, then there'll be more attacks on other elements, other strands of the LGBT movement, and for women's rights and for a lot of other rights as well. I thought this was a really good film, really well done. I love the authenticity. It's always important to cast well and to create a good script. The acting was great, the story was very touching, emotional, and I will give this a score of 9 out of 10. I'd love to know what you thought of the film. If you've seen it, please leave your comments. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.